All right, I think we're ready to get started. Thank you so much for making the time today to join our webinar, which will be focused on demystifying the Xometry Advance Card. As you can see on video, I have a panel of experts. I say to help keep me in line in case I say something that is either a miss, so feel free to jump in at any point. And as always, I want to give a big shout out to our partner network. You absolutely are the heart of our business, and we appreciate you taking the time away from your machines and your work to spend time with us today. It means the world to us, so thank you so much. We are devoting about 45 minutes or so to the webinar, and a lot of that is really contingent upon the amount of interaction we get in today's session. So from a housekeeping standpoint, one thing that I do want to mention is in the lower right-hand section of the screen, you'll see a chat icon. Please chat with us at any time during this webinar. And at the end, Zandria will help us to facilitate the Q&A at the end. So, feel free to chat now, and we'll be holding all of the questions and answers until the end of the session. Another thing that I wanted to mention, I know most of you know me, I'm Kim White. I lead the partner network, focusing on partner acquisition, global strategy, strategic initiatives, and also on the sourcing side as well. And one of the things that we have lots and lots of passion around is not just, kind of talking about new products and services, but really hearing from partners things that are top of mind and really interesting. So please give us, kind of questions and give us an opportunity to make this interactive. I also wanted to mention that the Xom card itself may seem like a little bit of a non-standard product offering, but this was really born, I'll say, out of a lot of partner interactions that we had during COVID. Many of the partners that we have in the network, they're small businesses, and one of the biggest fears or challenges that were expressed to us is cash flow issues. So the Xometry card is really intended to be a response to that. So how can we get cash in cans to our partners faster, which would enable them to purchase more materials, be able to take on more jobs, and really, again, kind of helping to exploit that constraint of cash flow. So that is good. As I mentioned, we have a number of folks with us today that can help answer some questions, and we're ready to move into the agenda. So what we're going to be covering today from an agenda standpoint is really to demystify the card. What is the card? What isn't the card? Really what are those lines of delineation? How does the Xometry Advance Card work? I'll pass it over to my partner in crime, Seifu, and we'll talk about the shop finances side as well as the payouts. Spend a little bit of time on FAQ, and I always say this, if you haven't visited the community, I'll always give a shameless plug for going out there and checking out the content, the assets. And we've also, probably about 3 weeks ago, we launched 2 interesting features. One is you can live chat with us, so we'll all be out there in the community after today's call. If you want to come by and introduce yourself, if you have any specific questions. And then after hours, we have a lot of self-service capabilities through drift chats. But really pretty much during 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., you'd be talking to many of us here from Xometry. And then we will move again back to Seifu to talk about some best practices. And then lastly, as I mentioned, we'll open it up for Q&A. Okay, great. So in terms of what the Xometry Advance Card is, it really operates as a payment card with up to 30% immediate payment once you pull a job. So you go ahead, you accept the job, and within a very brief period of time, 30% of the job value will be transitioned to the Xometry card. There are 2 maxes that we wanted to talk about. The first one is a maximum of $7,500 per job. So as an example, if you were taking a job value up to $25,000, $7,500 would be loaded to the card. If you had multiple occurrences of jobs out there, the maximum limit on your job would be $25,000. What the Xometry card isn't, it's not a typical credit card. So there's no fees, no interest rates, no credit checks, and it is not linked to your bank account. The best way that I describe it, and I feel like some of maybe Dan has different words for it, but I think about it as kind of like a gift card on steroids. So it really is immediate cash that you're able to use any place that Visa is accepted. And we wanted to pause just a minute because where it does have that immediate cash value, we want to make sure that, like, as you're storing it, that it's kept in a protected place, that you don't lose it. And there are mechanisms in which to do a stop and reissue, but just really make sure, like as you would with any credit card vehicle, that it is kept and stored in a safe place. The Xometry Advance Card is providing you immediate access to your card for business-related expenses and materials. And so with that, there are merchants that we would actually restrict. So things like, maybe a casino or something that wouldn't be linked to a merchant that would be typically identified or deemed as business expenses would be a blocked transaction. And on the flip side, so because it isn't a credit card, there's no financial restrictions required, and this is your money. The Xometry card is backed by Xometry, and as I mentioned, you can spend it anywhere Visa is accepted. And on the credit card side, the difference would be it's typically backed by a financial institution. So Xometry is doing the full backing of this. And then in addition to that, we do a lot of credit risk and monitoring for that as well. For right now, we're doing all of the servicing of the credit card in-house, and you'll see many of the enhancements in terms of being able to look at your expenses out there on the shop's finance page, as well as the Xometry community. And then the last piece is that we kind of mentioned before, we're really looking at ways to alleviate constraints of cash flow issues for small businesses, allowing to take the work faster. And we did preload the card with a $100 spend. So some of the questions that I have received from partners are, is any of the money that's on the card, do we need to pay it back? You don't. That's your money to spend. And we did, as I mentioned, preload it with $100, and that is yours to spend. It doesn't have anything to do with taking a job. It's really just a way of us saying thank you for that. Great. So in terms of how the card works, many of you would have received lots of great marketing assets and collateral. You would first go out there to the shop finance page and activate the card. You would accept the job from the job board. Really, within a short period of time, 30% of the accepted value of the job becomes immediate card spend. The caveat here is we will have fast followers for the 2D and the RFQ direct quote sourcing, but for right now, we only have the card hooked up to the job board, so a little bit more to come on that. You have the ability to spend whatever you choose on business-related expenses, again, anywhere Visa is accepted. And then when the job is marked as complete, so you've shipped it, you've gone out there on the job board, you mark it as complete, and in accordance with your payment cycle, the residual spend of 70% and whatever hasn't been used from the Xom card will go through, be swept into the Stripe account, and then ultimately into your checking account on record. And then lastly, you'll always be able to view your shop finances page with full reconciliations, and Seifu's going to be chatting about that in a little bit. Okay, so with that, I'm going to go ahead and pass the call over to Seifu Muhammad, who is our chief and primary, I'll say, like, just architect pretty much of everything systems and UX from a UX standpoint. So over to you.
Appreciate that, Kim. So yeah, this is an illustration of how jobs, your card purchases, and your cards available spend interact with each other. And in this example, you've accepted a $3,000 job, And what you can see in the bottom timeline is a timeline of what your available spend will show. So you'll see that your available spend is now $900 because of the 30%. And we did that to, as Kim mentioned, immediately try to alleviate cash flow questions that might arise when accepting a job. In this timeline, you can also see multiple purchases occurring that are also reducing your available spend by that amount. Now, something to note is that you can spend on the card up until your payout, a payout occurs on that available spend. So just because your job is complete, so in this example, your job is completed on day 8, doesn't mean you can't continue to spend on the card. And then when we go to finally calculate the payout of that job, we look at the jobs getting paid to you on that day. So in this case, it's a $3,000 job. And then we subtract the purchases that you've made since accepting the job to get the total payout. So in this case, $2,300. And that is the kind of sweeping mechanism that Kim talked about, where you still had $200 of that original advance that you had not spent. That makes it to your payout. So you should always kind of expect that behavior to happen. And then on the next slide is sort of how you would see it from your shop finances page. And what we're seeing here is just a screenshot of the payouts tab in shop finances. And you can see how we want to sort of increase the transparency that typically happens in a payout. So you'll see the $3,000 job coming to you, and then you'll see coming out of it the multiple purchases that you have made, and then finally the net payout. And so we wanted to make sure that, when you came in on Friday to check out your shop finances after a payout, everything is sort of reconciled appropriately. I think that's it.
Seifu, thanks for that breakdown. My name's Adam Bowe. I'm in the community architect, so guide for everything community. Also work with marketing for Xometry supplies, so fit kind of nicely into a couple different places that plug into the partner network. And what I want to talk about today is first the Xometry Advance Card FAQs, kind of what we've been seeing and where you can access those. And then, as Kim said, introduce the community for those of you that haven't seen it, but also give you a little bit of guide of some of the new features. So on the FAQs, we've highlighted a few here that we've received pretty consistently, as far as like what kind of job qualifies as eligible for the advance card, how's my payment calculated, why did my card get declined. Seifu touched on the payment, how the payment's actually calculated on the advance card, so I won't spend too much time there. Kim also kind of glossed over this, but right now the only jobs from the job board are available for spin with the advance card, but there will be fast follows for the RFQ network, and some of the other ways that you can work with Xometry. And then again, we talked about some of the merchant categories that may not qualify for business expenses, but you can find all of these questions and many more within the community. Zandra, if you want to go to the next slide, we can start to kind of explore the community with this, folks. Awesome. You want to click on the link in the title for me? So where we're coming now, this is the home page on the community. So what you see here is you see knowledge bases that are top line information for what you could find for different ways to work with Xometry. So the partner network, the RFQ marketplace, partner onboarding, really different sections for where you have questions. Now you also see the shop finances one, which we'll dive into in just a little bit, but I want to point out a couple different ways that you can find answers to your questions here. We have the search bar at the top where you can start typing questions like, how do I register for Xometry Advance Card? And if you want to click search, so you're going to get, a couple different, articles that will relate to the Xometry Advance Card there. If you want to backspace for me, Zandria, and go back to the home there. Now you can click on Shop Finances to be able to get into the knowledge base there. And the other note that you're going to see is kind of following you around, and it's actually my name because I'm logged into the chat bot right here, is that during 9 to 6 p.m. of work hours, you can chat directly with myself. Zandria takes turns there, Seifu, Kim. We're all behind this chat, and kind of whoever's logging it is whose name you're going to be there. So if you're within the community and you're having trouble finding things, you can actually engage with a human directly. Zandria, you want to click on the Xometry Advance Card knowledge base right there. This is where our guide lives for actually walking you through how to register for the card, signing up, activating your card, troubleshooting guidelines. And then if you want to click on the FAQ note there to expand that, this is where we pulled some of those FAQs that we showed in the slide before, and really all the ones that we've been finding as we've launched this card, we then take, add in here, add an article around it so that we can help kind of guide you to self-service and make sure that these answers are really at your fingertips for whenever you have questions. Now, if you guys are ever chatting with us and we get kind of consistent questions, very soon you'll see those questions get added to the FAQs so we can build a robust answer set for you for anything that kind of comes up, both with Shop Finances and the Advance Card. Zandria, if you want to back out real quick and show the Shop Finances section of this as well. The Xometry payouts, that's what I was going for there. So this is where you'd see any sort of like payment schedule questions, any sort of signing up for migrating to Concur or from Concur to the Shop Finances, which I think most of you have done. And again, just an FAQ section here as well. And then Zandria, could you get categories for me up at the top right or top left? The last feature I want to highlight in the community, this is a section for when you want to talk through kind of what we just went over, is either talking to Xometry employees or answering your own questions. But if you scroll down just a little bit, Zandria, we've got a Shop Finance discussion section where you can actually get in here and talk with each other about, you know, things that you've seen as far as, you know, payment cycles, questions that you have, helping with new partners that have questions. We really encourage you guys to jump in here and engage with one another, and, you know, help answer questions from folks that that are kind of new to the network and something that you may have run into in the past, or also pose your questions to your fellow partners and have kind of that discussion back and forth. We'll hop in whenever we see a question that goes unanswered for a certain period of time, but definitely want to give you guys this space to engage with each other and really support one another in this community. So that's mainly what I want to show here. Zandria, if you want to go back to the other slides.
And I'll say too, as sorry to hop in, I was going to say the other piece is we love partners serving partners, and when you go out there and take a look at a number of the different threads, it's fantastic to see partners, you know, kind of not only sharing experiences, but giving real life tips in terms of how to solve things and make things better. Many of you who are on the call from a partner standpoint, who have, you know, either been new to the partner network or been with us for a while, can attest to, like, we are always rolling out new products and services. And with every product and service, we, you know, typically do partner advisory boards, and, you know, really want to make sure that whatever we're creating is a perfect fit or something that's essential for the partner network. Ways now that we're extracting that information and pulling it more of a real time is we're going out there to the community and we're trying to discern those things that are top of mind. So if you love the advance card, that's great. If there are ways that we could improve it, or, you know, thinking about the next iteration, please bring it to a community discussion thread.
Absolutely. Nothing makes us happier than when we see a partner help another partner within the community space. That sets off a chain reaction of messages internally celebrating that answer and really, you know, clapping for that person who got in and helped out those folks. So that's a great point, Kim. Let's see, am I passing it back to Kim for best practices?
I think that was a Seifu, or
Yeah.
let's go, yep.
Gotcha. We'll pass it back to Seifu for best practices then.
Okay, so yeah, I just wanted to highlight, this is an early product, but there are a couple of items here that I think if you keep in mind, you'll hopefully be able to get the most out of this card. The first is that taking on more jobs increases how much you can spend and ultimately your purchasing power. And kind of one way to think about it is that if you took a single big job, you might only get $7,500 advanced on it, but if you took, say, 30,000 in jobs in general, you could get 30% of that whole amount. So the more work that you take, the more that will help increase what you can spend. The second thing to keep in mind is that the max advance for any job is $7,500. So that comes out to any job over $25,000 that you might accept. The max that you'll see sent to your card to spend is $7,500. And we've actually done a little bit on the experience side of the partner portal. If you've seen like the new confirmation page that appears whenever you accept a job, we show you how much has actually been advanced and what your new card spend, your new max available spend is. And that's kind of the third thing that I wanted to mention is there are multiple ways to keep an eye on your available spend so that you can reduce the chances of accidentally getting a decline or something like that. One of those is that our partner portal is mobile friendly. So if you're out doing any business expenses or any sort of purchasing, you can really quickly, within just a few clicks, go to your Shop Finances page on your phone and see what your available spend is. And then just the last thing I wanted to mention, we have in our community site a knowledge base article of all of the merchant category codes that we do restrict. But ultimately, if it's something that you would spend on your business, typically or atypically, you could most likely use the card. We try to be very clear about what that was, and as long as you feel like it's a business expense, more than likely you'll be able to use the card. And that's what I have for best practices.
Great. Seifu, I have the first question for you.
Yeah.
How long should it typically take for a posted job to hit the Shop Finance page? A completed job, sorry, yeah.
So after July 9th, we had when we launched Shop Finances, there was some work we had to do to migrate the data, and at that time it would take somewhere between 3 to 5 days typically. Well, we've been able to get to the point now where if you are an existing partner moving to Shop Finances and you've completed your enrollment, you should see your jobs on there after the first day. And then once accepting a job or once completing a job after that point, that should appear in Shop Finances immediately after you complete that job.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we've come to the end of our presentation. This is the time for you guys to submit any questions that you have about Shop Finances, about the card, about your transactions. So we did have one question come through. I think this may be a Kim question, maybe a Seifu question I'll ask you guys. So our partner wants to know, will they be able to use the card for Xometry supplies? And will they also be able to use it for the Xometry finishing network? So yes.
Yes.
So I do
know. Yes, absolutely.
Big yes on Xometry supplies. That's you still receive all the same benefits there. Free shipping, free ground shipping on $50 or more. Free second grade update or second day upgrade for partners. So yes, we definitely want to encourage you guys if you can, or if the materials or the tools that we have on Xometry supplies are available. But you will absolutely be able to use your card at Xometry supplies and the finishing network.
And thanks, Adam. And I'll say, to add a little bit to that, and in full transparency, our end goal is to be able to add loyalty programs to the card that are important to partners. So with that, Zandria, do we have any polling that we wanted to do relative to that?
I think we had some polling occur during the presentation, so I think we'll see the results at the end.
Oh, perfect.
Yep.
Yeah,
And I
so
have,
I'll say, oh, sorry, I was just going to say, like, the infomercial for that is, as I mentioned before, there's so much great insight that come from partners, and you know, whether or not that's sharing it within the context of the community, reaching out to any of us directly, or, you know, as Andrea mentioned, we'll take a look at the results of the poll. That's what I'll say is like the next 2.0 version of the Xom card, is to be able to make sure that we're aligning it to loyalty programs that are meaningful to partners.
yes. Okay. And then we have another question come through. I think this may be for Don Paul. Our partner is asking, for taxation purposes, is there anything that they need to pass along to their CPA or to their bookkeepers?
Yeah, I think, you know, that's probably going to vary per partner. But I think all the information, correct me if I'm wrong, Seifu, but is readily available there in the shop finances page for, you know, getting that information into your accounting system, or to your CPA, just however you do your accounting for your shop. But yeah, I think you'll be able to download that information and use it freely as you need.
Yeah, that's right, Don Paul. It should be from the shop finances page, and we're, you know, listening to feedback and working on ways to better improve that communication that you might have with your CPA or with whatever accounting software that you might use.
Thank you for that. And while we wait for a few more questions to come through, just some questions that I saw in the community that were kind of popular amongst the partners are, who is eligible for the Xometry Advance Card? And I'll pass that to you, Kim.
Yeah, sure. So all partners who are approved in the network who take jobs directly as an auto quote or from the auto quoted job board would be eligible to receive and to participate with the card services. So pretty much any approved partner within the Xometry network.
Awesome, thank you. And I see another question has come through. Can you transfer any of your funds on the card to a checking account?
No, so this card won't work at any ATMs, and you wouldn't be able to transfer it directly to checking. Once anything that we advance to you will eventually make it to your checking account as part of the payout, but there is currently no way to take something that is currently on your card and put it directly into a checking account.
Okay, thank you, Seifu. And this may be another question for you as well, Seifu. For the jobs that have been completed before the shop finance card was sent, how will we be paid?
So for jobs completed, regardless of whether you opt into the card, you will get paid on Stripe through the new shop finances for any job completed. And that's anything after that July 9th, I believe, was the cutoff. So any of that work, right?
Thank you.
And then I think the question was for jobs prior to that. And Don Paul, keep me honest on this. The partner would be required to follow the legacy process, which would be to submit the invoice to partnerinvoices@xometry.com, and that would follow the legacy payment process and schedule.
That is correct. Yeah, those would be paid through concur in the old process. Yeah.
Thank you for that. And what happens if a card is lost or stolen?
So if a card is lost or stolen, you should be able to notify us about that through the shop finances page, and then you can get that reissued at no cost if something goes wrong with your card. And then you'll just have to activate it again once it appears.
Thank you for that, Seifu. All right. So I have another question.
And Seifu, as we wait for the next question, brings up a good point about activation. And even on the cards that many of you may have received now, in order to use it for the first time, you do need to go to your shop finances portal and click to activate. Otherwise, when you go to swipe it for the first time, it unfortunately will get declined. So I just want to make sure that we reinforce that. When that beautiful piece of plastic comes in the mail, just go to your shop finances portal and click to activate before you go to use it.
Okay, and then we have a few questions on payment terms. Are all new Xometry jobs net 30? Seifu or Kim, either one.
Or Don Paul, our accounting guy.
Yeah, I think there are some in community. There's probably some good diagrams on this. I don't know if my words will explain it. It's roughly going to be net 30. It just depends on the day of the week when your job gets completed. I believe it's maybe like 26 days to 33 days based on it. If you complete on like a Sunday versus a Friday. So payments are going to be done weekly. I think under the old system, there were only payouts twice a month, the 14th and the 28th. Now every Friday, money will be in your bank account based on the jobs that are scheduled to get paid that week, based on the prior timeline I mentioned. So.
Thank you for that. You answered the first and the second question because it was how often do we get paid? So thank you. Can a partner have more than one card?
So currently we only allow one card per partner, the way that the system is set up right now.
Okay, thank you. All right. We'll wait a few moments to see if any other questions come through.
And Sandria, as we're waiting, any big reveal on the polling questions?
Let's see. Not seeing those come through yet. Okay. So I have another question come through. Seifu, I think this will be for you. Will the balance of the job when completed be paid to the card or paid by check?
Well, so when completed, and on that payout schedule, that will get paid direct deposit to the bank account that you set up when you first registered for Shop Finances, not to the card.
And when you say Shop Finances, that would go into their ACH banking account of record, so not a paper check.
Right, yes, that's correct.
Yep.
Okay, and just to reiterate the question earlier about the card being lost or stolen, partners are responsible for any transactions during that time, or reporting them if they're not consistent with their own personal transactions. So just a note on that. Okay, and here's another question coming through. Does a partner still submit an invoice for a completed job? I think we all know the
We're all like, no invoice is required in the new paper or invoice list process.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, I don't know the answer to this. I think I do, but I'm going to throw this out to the panel. Some partners have been asking me, while it's sort of the tale of two cities. We have partners that are psyched that no more invoices are required. It alleviates administrative burden. And then we have the other camp that's like, hey, my ERP requires us, or QuickBooks requires us to send out some type of invoice. So in that scenario, what would we recommend when it's a requirement for the partner to send that out?
Every job has a purchase order tied to it that is generated by our system. Don Paul, correct me if I'm wrong, but that would be a good substitute if you were looking at tying a job in ERP to a job in our system.
Yeah, I think that J number that is on all our jobs and purchase orders should link back to whatever accounting system you're using. I mean, most accounting systems are going to generate an invoice kind of regardless of if we are requiring you to send it or not. That shouldn't necessarily be an issue for you. I think what you would want to do is try to use that reference number to resolve the payment of that invoice to the payment we're making you. So J00 whatever ties to that purchase order in your system, or that order in your system, and then that subsequently that invoice in your system. So yeah, that reference number should be a good link to always link those things up.
Okay. So we'll give it just a few more minutes to see what other questions trickle in. Okay, here's a very specific question. This partner is asking, my boss doesn't want to use the card. Is it possible to keep using Concur exactly the same way that we've used it in the past?
So Concur is going away. We will be paying people through Shop Finances, but the card is a completely optional financial product for anybody getting paid with Xometry. And so you can register to get paid to your bank account with Shop Finances. And then if your boss doesn't want to use the card, that's totally fine. You would just skip the step in the registration process that asks about signing up for the card.
Okay, thank you, Saifu.
Zandria, I saw a question in there about if we're looking into allowing partners to get more than one card. I would love for the partner who submitted that maybe to join us in community after the webinar and explain a little bit about kind of what their needs are to have multiple cards, because that will help inform us if that's a feature. It's certainly one we've talked about, if it's one we'll sort of start to develop.
Please come to the community to discuss any and everything about the card or Shop Finance. It's always welcome.
Definitely. We love hearing your feedback in the community and using that to generate, what our priorities should be and how we can make this experience better for you.
And while we're still waiting for some more questions to come through, I am able to see one of the questions from our poll. We asked you guys what would make you or help you to use the card more frequently. It looks like the overwhelming majority selected cash back on purchases as something you'd be most interested in. If there's something else that wasn't captured here in our multiple choice, also feel free to come into the community and tell us what you're interested in seeing as a benefit or for utilizing the card. It looks like we have another question here. How long does it take for the funds on the card to be transferred into a partner's bank account that's on file?
So it typically takes about 2 days for the card to be transferred into the, so once a payout is initiated in our system, it takes about 2 days for that to transfer into your bank account. And that's 2 business days. So something to keep in mind if there is a bank holiday or a payout for whatever reason takes over the weekend, it'll show up on Monday. But it's typically about 2 business days. And that's kind of a limitation of sort of our the banking system that kind of underpins what Stripe does.
Okay, thank you. So we'll give it a few more minutes to see if anyone else types in any other questions. Okay. All right, so we did have another question come up here. All right, this is a very specific question, but it looks like we have a shop owner who was not in the shop due to COVID-19, and they'd like us to resend the card to a pickup location or a different address for them. I don't know, Kim or Saifu, how we would orchestrate that, but
Yeah, if they wouldn't mind, maybe sending an email to I think it's cardsupport@xometry.com. Is that right, Kim?
It is. I think it's card-support.
Support.
Bear with me. Yeah, card-support@xometry.com or kwhite@xometry.com. Either one will get it to the right location.
Yep. We'll be able to resolve that pretty quickly.
Mhm.
Thank you.
And Adam, are you on community duty for the next for the next shift?
Yeah, so I'll be in there talking with you guys from 2 to 4 before one of my colleagues takes over. And like I said, we're always monitoring it. One thing I'm specifically interested in, and they plugged this a couple times, but the loyalty program that we're kind of talking about, especially how it coincides with Xometry supplies. So, you know, you said cash back on purchases, but some other benefits that may be interesting to you guys. So come in, start discussions, chat with me on the chat bot. You know, really looking forward to hearing what you guys have to say, not only about the Xometry Advance Card, but all of Xometry's new offerings that we have from the RFQ Marketplace, Xometry Supplies, just all the exciting things we've launched recently. So looking forward to chatting with you guys.
Great.
Another question through. Are there any negative repercussions for not having the Xometry Advance Card?
I would say no. This is, yeah, definitely an optional experience that, you know, was designed for people that might were looking to maybe smooth over cash flow that they were having. We talk about like loyalty programs and incentives because we want you to use this, but it's not like you're not going to get paid or things like that if you don't use the card.
I would say there are no sticks, like carrot or sticks, right?
Yeah.
Like there are no sticks involved in not using the Xometry Advance Card, but very soon there will be carrots involved in it. And, you know, if you don't have it there, you know, you wouldn't have access necessarily to those carrots.
Mm-hmm.
So no like corporal punishment, but no treats either.
Yeah, for all, you'll just be kind of missing out on getting your money sooner, faster,
Yeah.
quickly, immediately.
And the $100 that comes with signing up for the card now.
Oh, right. All right. So I think I'm going to pass it over to you, Kim, to kind of close out, give your closing remarks. And if there are any questions that you guys didn't have the opportunity to ask, again, come to the community. Feel free to poke around, start a thread, participate in an ongoing discussion on anything card related or partner related for that matter.
Great. And thanks, Andrea, and thanks, Dan and Seifu and Adam for being partners in crime on today's webinar. In closing, I know partners, like your time is incredibly important, so we're so grateful that you hopped on today. Just two quick things. You know, again, I know we keep plugging the community, but we really want to engage with our partners. And then lastly, this is our 4th webinar. We're getting a little bit better. Today's questions were amazing. The last one, it was a little bit shy, so I feel like the 31 folks we had today definitely rocked the questions. But let us know what would be top of mind for future webinars. You know, right now we're, you know, kind of putting them out there based on what we think are important topics, but we'd love to hear from our partners. So again, just reach out to us in any way. Our goal is to have a webinar every other week. So again, we want to make sure that we're addressing what's top of mind for you as well. So with that, have a great day. Thanks for joining, and we'll be in touch in a couple weeks. Thank you.